Welcome back to the Jupiter podcast. I am your host, Tom Franklin, and today we have on from the Ohio Bigfoot Researchers, Miss Rene Gayheart. She's going to share some of her incredible encounter stories and a little bit about what they're doing with the research up there in the wonderful state of Ohio, and most likely Saltfork State Park. I guess we'll find out when we get her on the line. So if you keep finding yourself coming back to the Jupiter podcast, please do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. You can also find my merchandise if you go down into the link below. Get yourself a hat, t-shirt, get yourself a poster. We have a coffee cup over there, all the good stuff. All my social media is down below. You can go over there and download an episode. That's cool. On the audio version, I got it all over on Spreaker, but you can also find it on your favorite podcast player. And so with all the housekeeping being done and said, one more thing. My lives are now being moved from Wednesday to Friday. And my regularly scheduled regular podcast, just like today's podcast, is now being released on Tuesday. I've flipped them a little bit, spread them out a little bit, so you guys get to enjoy the content in a little bit more timely fashion because most people are off on Fridays. So now with all that being said, let's welcome to the show, Miss Rene Gayheart.
Hi.
Hello. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
So you are the co-founder of the Ohio Bigfoot Researchers, and your co-founder. You're the one who started the whole thing? Is that correct?
Yes, I'm the founder.
The founder. Excuse me.
Co-founder.
Oh, okay. You started it. You made the picture. You did all the work, and he's like, since you did all the leg work, I'll jump in now. Is that what happened? You can tell me.
He's
Renee.
He's better at talking than I am, but yeah, I started it. He's always been interested in Bigfoot. I always thought, yeah, okay, he wanted to go to a Bigfoot camp out. We went, seen our first Bigfoot, got addicted. And I was watching other people do podcasts, and I thought, if they can start a group and do this, I can too. And in less than a year, we were over 5,000 members. So,
wow, that's a lot more. I think I'm like maybe 1,000, but that's cool. That's awesome. I was telling Tim, I think it's so cool because a lot of times when there's a Bigfoot researcher in the house, whether it be the man or the woman, the other one just simply isn't that interested, and that both of you are like, nah, we're going to go out there. I think it's just an awesome thing that you guys both get to share that in your relationship.
Yeah, once you go and you see an actual Bigfoot, you're addicted. I mean, it is an addiction, a very expensive one. But I'll tell you a little bit about my encounters. One time at Saltfork,
sure.
Tim was in the parking lot, and I had walked to the end of the blacktop road. And I said, he was coming up behind me slowly. And I said, I'm going to walk up to this big rock and see what's going on up there. Huge rock. So I start up there, and I maybe get 2 steps, and I hear a conversation that is clearly in a language I don't understand. So I just stop, and I'm listening, not understanding, but listening. And I thought, well, that's kind of weird. I'm going to go on up to this big rock. I get maybe halfway, and I get a low guttural growl, but it wasn't like aggressive. So I thought, should I go on? I'm hard-headed. I'm going on. I get almost to the big rock, and the second growl was not friendly. So I turn around, I speak out loud, and I say, I'm not going to bother you. I'll leave. And as I turn my back to come down, a huge tree gets pushed over, probably 30 feet from me.
Whoa.
And I'm like, well, that happened, and I'm like,
And you had no trepidation? Like, if I would hear, I speak 2.5 languages. I'm still working on my Spanish. And if I hear a foreign language that I'm sure it's not just a foreign language, I'm sure it was something about it that was even more off-putting. You've kind of heard Asian languages, you've heard certain African
Right.
languages. We watched National Geographic growing up, and you hear this and you had no trepidation. You're just like, I'm going to go up there and see what's up. And you had no fear.
No fear. I always tell Tim and everybody I know I'm too ignorant to be afraid of anything. Fear does not come natural to me. No, and I never felt even nervous. Now, when the tree got pushed over, I was kind of like, what? Like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I'd
Later on,
imagine.
going back, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. No, it was just
Oh,
and I have one more question about this initial part of the encounter. Is that you said that the first growl was not any way like it didn't scare you in any way. Is there a particular reason why? Is there just instinct?
I didn't take it as aggression. I took it more as I was getting too close to something. But like I said, I'm too ignorant to be afraid and I'm hard headed. So I'm going to figure out what's behind this big rock. For
Well,
some reason,
in
I was
if
fascinated
at
with
any
the big
time
rock.
if at any time in the future, I hope one day this will be possible. I find my way to you guys, and we do go out, Sasquatching together, whatever that word is. And I know someone will get upset by anything I say when it comes to this matter. You will be behind I will be behind you, and the rock will be in front of you because I am a scaredy pants when it comes to those kind of things. And I just the reason the questions come out is because of that particular reason. So I'm like, you're not afraid whatsoever. No, I mean, I've been to war, but that's a whole different. At least I know there's people over there. You know what I mean, Renee?
Right.
Please continue. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
But the second growl was more of a, you're in my space, get out. Um, no, and I'll tell you my first and not last, unfortunately, Dogman encounter. I do not like to say that word. I'm sure Tim has mentioned it. Absolutely throws me into an anxiety attack just thinking of this stupid creature that I knew nothing about. We went to a Bigfoot camp out, a young kid, Josh Inslee, who knows I'm not afraid because I'm, like I said, too ignorant, but he's like, let's go up to Hozak's. That's my favorite place at Salt Fork. That's where we have built a kind of relationship with a female Sasquatch. I said, sure, never been there at night. Let's go check it out. Neither one of us had a light at all.
Okay.
And to get to the cave, there's some spots that if you take a wrong step, you're hurt bad, because it's just straight clip wall. But I'm like, let's go. Just met the kid that day. We're walking up there in the dark. We get about halfway and he stops and he said, do you trust me? I said, absolutely not. I don't know you.
That's a weird way to. That's a weird question.
Being truthful. He's like, look on top the cave. The moon was up just enough that you could see the outline of the cave opening. There were these yellow eyes everywhere you could see. Enough moonlight lighting the back of that cave that one was standing on two legs. And I said, what, excuse my language, the hell was that? And he said, and instantly I felt nervous. And he's
Yeah,
like, do you trust me? And I said, at this point,
I have no
you have a
choice.
weapon. I don't. I have to trust you.
Right.
Like I said, it's pitch black. He said, run. So we're running out of there. How we made it, only God knows. We get to the parking lot. And by this time, I've got a headache. I'm throwing up. I'm so nervous I can't stand it. I found out later I was hit with infrasound from the Dogman. And I swore that day I'd never go up there again at night ever in my life. 3 weeks it took me to get over being sick.
Wow.
Well, when we went back in August, guess what? Stupid Renee. A group's going to Hozak's at night, so Renee's going.
Where's
facing my
Hosax?
pier.
Where's Hosax at, Renee?
Hosak's Cave. It's a section of the park where there's a big cave with the waterfall. It's beautiful.
Okay.
We have actually been inside the cave. I mean, clearly multiples could live in there out of the elements, but swore I'd never go back. The group talked me into it. You know, Renee doesn't want to look like the weak one, so I'm going. We did. We got about halfway, but I wasn't anxious and I wasn't sick, so I know we had no fear of Dogman. But we did run into a very large Sasquatch that was not happy we were all there. But I didn't have to run out. But I did tell the guy that led the group, don't ever ask me again to go at night because I absolutely will not go. Well, then comes November. I get invited to Indiana. And I drive 4.5 hours to go there to a state park during the day. We get back there, and there's probably 7 or 8 tree structures that are amazing. Trees upside down, stuck in the ground everywhere. And I don't have never told this story to anybody but Tim and the 3 people that were there that know this, but we're standing there. Out of nowhere comes this huge black dog. Out of nowhere in the middle of the state park. It goes around one person to get to me. It bites me.
Whoa.
Yes, it turns around. I'm in shock, I think. It turns around. It got shot at. It screamed a scream I'd never heard in my life and never want to hear again. And we never found no blood, no hair, no nothing. Blood is pouring out of my leg.
My God.
So we stopped and talked to somebody about it and at the park, and they were like, yeah, it's been spotted multiple times, but we can't never find it. And I didn't feel like he didn't believe me, but I'm like, you should warn people of that. But there's a sign. I have pictures I can send you that you can use on one of Tim's or something, but that says everything in big letters, everything in the park is protected.
Interesting.
So it's like, did they know it was there?
Could you describe this dog a little bit more? Maybe could you tell me the size, the way
Well,
it
I'm
looked?
5'3", well over its back was well above my waist, and it was so black that you couldn't even
Oh
see
my
its eyes.
God. Oh,
Yeah.
I had to you see me look to my side to make because my girlfriend is 5'1", so I know where her waist is. So if it's over, that's huge. That's like
Yeah.
250,
Never seen it coming,
300
never
pounds
heard
or
it
something.
coming, never seen it leave or never heard it leave. How does something that big, but it's the same with Sasquatch, you never hear them either, but yeah, I have the scar today to prove it. I mean, thank God only one canine stuck in my leg and got ripped. But yeah, so that was an exciting
So
trip to
what do
Indiana.
you
But
think
that
that
night,
what do you
go
think
ahead.
it was, Renee? Do you think it's I'm sorry, Renee, do you think it's one of these dogmen, or do you think it was just a really large dog? What kind of dog was it? If you were to describe it, would it be like a pit bull? Would you describe it as
No, I
a
would describe it as an overgrown German Shepherd.
an overgrown black, like was it all black? Was there
It
like
was so
white
black you
markings?
couldn't see its eyeballs.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so I know we don't know, I'm sure at this point. So what do you think it was? Do you think it was one of these dogmen in the middle of the day? Or was it at the daytime? Was it in the daytime?
It was in the daytime. Yeah, it was about
Okay.
noon.
Where were you? Were you in the forest? Were you in the parking lot? Where were you?
We were in the forest of a state park.
Okay.
Yeah. On a
Yeah.
trail. I don't know what it was. But I've had so many people that I've talked to, even about Bigfoot, because I'm sure Tim has told you, they are drawn to me. I have never been out Bigfooting that I have not seen one with my
Wow.
own eyes. Um, but many of people we've talked to have said, Renee, what kind of blood type do you have?
This is an
And that's an
interesting
odd
concept.
question to ask somebody. And
Not in this world.
researched
Not on this
I have
podcast. Not on this podcast.
researched my bloodline. I am R negative, Rh negative, which leads direct link back to Nephilim blood. Um,
Okay.
does that have something to do with the coalition of they're drawn to me? Are the Dogman drawn to me too? I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to delve a little deeper. Tim kind of mentioned that he was a minister of sorts or a preacher of sorts. Were you with
Right?
him during this time?
Yes, we've been married 33 years.
Congratulations. That's beautiful. I only made it to, I think, 21. I couldn't make it. We couldn't make it any farther. We tried our hardest, but didn't work. But so in this 33 years, which is an interesting number, by the way. Okay, let's hopefully we get past the 33. We know that number is significant.
Right.
Excuse me.
Mhm.
He told me that he is also not very afraid, and he said the reason why is that he's had a lot of very interesting things happen in his life, especially during the ministry, even exorcisms of
Yes.
sorts or demon possession. Have you ever witnessed any of that?
Yes. He's
Okay, so
very, very intuitive to people, man. And that's
okay,
me too. I can be in a whole crowd of people and I'm the one sitting back watching everybody because I know what kind of person you are just by watching you.
right,
I
right.
can get along with anybody, but
Not
I just
everybody.
know.
There you go.
It's just it's strange. I don't know. But like I said, my blood being traced back to the Nephilim, does that have something to do with it?
I
Probably.
I think I think if you guys have seen, I mean, maybe that's a story for Tim to tell because he was maybe the minister. I don't know, but if you've witnessed that and you've seen the, how would you say, the leaving of that spirit or whatever the hell you want to call that in this person's
Right.
body, and you were there during that situation, you might be along with the Rh negative blood. I'm O positive, so I've had a few encounters, but nothing like you guys have had. I think those combination of those two things, and then having an active like wanting to know, I think that enables like this tag thing where once you get touched by something like that, then it kind of just expands from there because I believe that somehow all this, we don't know exactly how, is connected. And I think the experiences that you've had with that, probably paranormal as well. I know I'm just
Right.
imagining, right? Okay,
Right.
that is just on top of my head. Um, being Rh negative blood, experiencing that, of course they're going to be drawn to you. And of course, if you're saying what I believe I'm that type of person too. I see and feel everybody. I can be friends with anybody, but I just can't be friends with everybody.
Right.
Um, it's not because of my not wanting to. It's just that they are not willing to or willing to be on that level of understanding. And me and you, Renee, are going to build a rapport. I feel it. So Rh negative blood. You're when you if you're bringing up Nephilim, I'd imagine that you are then a person of faith.
Yes.
That's wonderful. And so do you feel that these Sasquatch, Bigfoot, forest creature, do you feel that they are then descendants of Nephilim? Is that what you believe?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I absolutely believe that.
Interesting. Interesting. Now this dog. Okay.
I hate
If
that thing, man.
if it I don't have my tape measure with me, but if you're 5 foot, I'm gonna do some measurements after the show. And it's if the back is so that means the head is up near your navel,
Yes.
right? That is a huge dog. That is like a Scottish deerhound size kind of dog. To get was it? Can you describe the hair? Like, was it? Did it? When you seen it, did it look like it was real, or did it? Because I've heard stories like when you see these things and they're on all fours, they almost look like they're fluid, like they kind of just move along.
If I hadn't got bit, and seen the blood, I would have never thought none of it happened. I don't know if my mind wouldn't let me believe that, but to this day, even talking about it, I'm so anxious right now. But
Okay.
if I
Well,
didn't have the scar and I wasn't the one that got bit, I wouldn't have believed none of it happened.
well, I believe you.
It
Hope
was
that
the
helps.
weirdest thing ever. It never hurt.
It didn't
Um,
hurt.
Never hurt. I didn't even know I was bit until one of the others said, "Look down at your pant leg," and it was covered in blood.
Wow. That's because Tim told me when you were on here to mention the black dog story, and he said it was
Yeah,
your story to tell. Of course, a good
yeah.
husband, a good man, also
Yeah,
very
and
good
how
at
many
telling a
people are you gonna
story.
tell that to,
So at
and
the
they're gonna
same
be
time,
like, "Oh, you're full of it," you know? There's not a lot of people you can talk to
I would
about
say
something
a
like
good
that.
80%, 80 to
Right,
85% of people will, yeah.
right.
Well, I completely believe you. The things I've heard about these, I kind of go all over the place. I Dogman, Bigfoot, psychedelics, lost history, wherever it is that are just the weird topics that that just interest me, because of my, I guess the adventurous spirit of wanting to know, being a human on this planet, what is this
Right.
reality? I completely and utterly believe you, and I can actually, if people listening to this only, Renee is definitely physically bothered by this. I'm sorry,
Mhm.
speaking about you in the third person as if you're not here, but
No,
you
that's
are
fine. Yeah.
bothered by this, and
Mhm.
so did you have to seek medical attention? Did you have to get like stitches or something?
No. Um, put a Band-Aid on it and kind of it never I don't even know how to explain it. It never crossed my mind again. It was like it happened. Of course, immediately I called Tim. I'm like, "You're not gonna believe what just happened to me." And he's like, "No, I believe you." And I'm like, "How? I don't even believe it." To this day, does it still seem real? Absolutely not. But every time I take a shower, I see the scar, so I know it happened. Um, and like I said, there was witnesses that know it happened, but my mind cannot wrap its head around this
Right.
happened.
I I understand that. I really do. It's like it happens so fast. It's so weird. It doesn't hurt. It so it went around somebody to actually get to you, to actually bite you, and it all seems like almost a dream, but like also a nightmare. But at the same time, did that really happen? And the fear involved in the whole situation would actually make a lot of sense, psychologically speaking. I'm not saying I have a degree in anything like that, but just as the layman in the armchair here.
Right. And if it was, why didn't it hurt me? I mean, it could have hurt me so much worse. Do I think it was trying to hurt me? No. Do I think
You're
out of
tagged.
4 people why it chose me? I'm going back to my blood type. It needed
It tagged you,
a
dude. I
taste
think
of it.
like
I don't
it's
know.
like I see you. I'm here with you. Like because we actually did a show on this, the what do we call this show, the Form of the Forbidden, where we talked about the blood types, and I think the I think 60% like originated from the Basque region of the Iberian Peninsula, and it's just such a strange little, so you probably have French in your blood somewhere
Yes.
along the line. So, okay, I see. I know a little bit, Renee, and then it gets passed down. It's just such a strange thing because for some reason, the people who don't notice it, you can go back and check the episode. For some reason, like paranormal encounters, as well as cryptids and all these things that people are experiencing out there in the world. This Rh negative blood, which means AB negative, O negative. Any if you have negative on the end, I'm positive, which are most people here in this region. There's also a lot of left-handers here for some reason in Mexico. A lot of left-handed people and O positive. All right, whatever. But anyhow, it just seems that there's some type of connection. I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just like some little piece of the puzzle that's slowly getting picked up. So when you say infrasound, was this on the first in the first encounter that you shared with us, Renee? Did you you felt it like it hit you like a wave, or it was just like a slow onset feeling, or what was it like?
No, it was like hitting a brick wall. Instantly, deathly sick. And we were 2.5 hours from home. Um, and that was night number one and still had 3 nights to go. And I told Tim, I said, I'm not going to make it. Well, Tim doesn't drive, never has. I'm like, I hope I can get us home. 3 weeks I was sick with that. And I have felt it twice since then, but not near as bad as that. But like the time that I got bit, my heart rate was like 190, but
Oh
no
yeah.
sickness. No
Could you
sickness.
maybe go through the sickness a little bit more, because people who might be running across this situation for the first time on the podcast, you have to understand, like, people are more and more waking up to this, which I'm sure you're aware of as
Right.
well. There might be the first time they're like, "Who is Rene Gayheart?" Maybe I put in a very cool thumbnail and they click on it, and they want to know what we're talking about. Could you explain infrasound, or what Daryl Denton calls being zapped? What is it? What is it supposedly? And maybe describe it a little bit more for people who don't know.
Right. Like I said, when it happened, I had no clue what it was called, but I instantly I don't have anxiety, never have.
Oh God, I wish I were you.
Instantly very anxious, very paranoid, um, migraine headache immediately. It probably took 3 hours for my heart rate to come down. Very weak feeling. We got back to camp and I said, listen, this is what's going on. What the hell just happened to me? And one of the guys there actually said, Renee, I think you've been hit with infrasound. Well, that was the end of the conversation. I'm like, well, that's not telling me nothing. So when we got
Right.
back to the hotel, I got on Google. You know, Google is the doctor for everything.
Yeah, so it's the brains of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. And I put my symptoms in, and, I could have had anything from, but
Oh yeah,
then
yeah,
I
yeah.
looked
Never
up,
do that. Never
yeah,
do that.
could
You're
have had
if you do
cancer,
that,
leukemia.
you think you're dying or something.
Right. So I put in infrasound and it made sense. It's like that's exactly what happened to me. Tingling
Yes,
hands and feet. I mean, I had every symptom there was.
it's like for the scientifically minded, I guess you would say, it's some type of like vibration below the audible range in which we can hear, and it's like it affects the body. Did you feel anything? Would you feel a vibration? Did you feel? You said it like felt like hitting a
I
brick
felt like I
wall.
hit a brick wall.
That's so wild.
Like I hit it and my body was just shaking.
Yeah, you were getting close to something there. They didn't want you to be up there. So
No.
Tim said that the first time you guys went down there, that he said he crossed a log, crossed over a
Right.
log, right,
Mhm.
and then he seen where one walked up a hill, and
Yeah.
then you guys left to go to another part, and you came back, and he goes, and I believe in this time you've also seen one and maybe a juvenile.
One.
I
Mhm.
did listen again, and he said we're gonna go see Sally. Now, is this the one that you're referring to, or is this just some name that he pulled off the top of his head? Tim and his
No,
ways.
Sally's the one we have built a relationship with. And
Nice.
when I say relationship, we're not going to visit her and, sitting down or whatever.
Not
Some
having
people
tea.
may take
Okay.
that wrong, but we have built a trust with her. A lot of people don't believe in gifting, but you do your own thing. I'm going to do mine. I would never gift at home, but I do gift there. But we'll come home from there and we only go twice, 3 times a year. And Tim will dream about her. And I used to
Really?
have longer hair, and we were down there and we'd come home probably 2 months later. He's like, had a dream about Sally last night. And I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, you were in the parking lot brushing your hair and she was watching you. So I'm like, well, let's go to Walmart because we're going down there this weekend. Let's go to Walmart and buy a hairbrush. So we went and bought a hairbrush and I put it at the gifting tree. Now, this is 6 months later. We go back to Saltfork and I'm with a new guy. And I'm telling him this story as we're walking to Hozak's cave about this hairbrush. And he's like, well, that's pretty cool. He's like, will you walk me down there and see if I can see Sally? And I said, absolutely. Come on. Well, he's in front of us. He gets down there probably 30 feet in front of us and he starts screaming at the top of his lungs. And I'm like, what is going on? He said, here's your hairbrush. It just got thrown at me. So when I
Whoa.
told him about my hairbrush, I don't think he fully believed Rene. So he threw it at him.
Quotation marks speaking in the third person. I'm digging your vibe. I am picking up what you're setting down here.
So she had to
And that-
prove that Rene
Yeah.
is telling you the truth.
Yeah, and that whole thing that you said at the beginning that he's more the talker to you, I think you're doing just fine. Just to let you know, I don't know how many podcasts you've done. I think you're doing fantastic, and you're probably one of the most honest. Like you approach it like I would approach it. The way you say things, the way I would. I think if I were to experience it the way you have, that I would be saying or using the same lingo that you're using, the same wording, the same feeling. Like, so why would you guys decide to do that? He wanted to go really bad and you're the driver and you're just like, I want to go do it too. Or what is because
no, I was more like, I will take you because I'm going to just sit back and watch these crazy people, crazy people that believe in this stuff.
Okay.
But after you see your first one, it's like I'm a knower. I don't got to prove what I see to nobody.
So what was it like the first time you seen one? Can you walk me through like the encounter?
Yeah.
Because the first one is always the most memorable, I'd imagine.
Right. I think the first one was probably disbelief. It's like, am I really seeing what I'm seeing? And I'm not
Right.
going to tell nobody because they already think I'm crazy. So, but then it just kept happening every time I go out and I'm like, what is up with this? And people would be like, Rene, there's no way you're seeing. I've got pictures of every one of them.
Okay.
I'm like, come on, go with me. You don't believe me? Go with me. So 2 women, and they'd never seen anything, been doing it for a long time. I'm like, come on, let's go. Get in the car. Shut up. You don't believe me? I'm going to. So we take these women up there to where Sally is. And I say out loud, Sally, these are my friends. They don't believe that I have seen you. Can you show yourself? They have video. Clearly, she's sitting at the bottom of a tree. She turns around. They've got it all on video. She has a newborn baby. Turns around, shows them the baby, turns back, and I said, that's enough. It's time to go. We look back and she's gone. And then they're like, well, you really knew what you were talking about. I don't got no reason to lie to you about. My encounter's my encounter. I don't care if you believe me. I don't care. Just
Right.
don't belittle me and say I didn't see what I seen because I know.
That is probably the most frustrating thing. It's like because you're a bit we come from an older generation. I'll be 45 next month, and I'm sure you're 50-ish somewhere in that area, right?
Yeah, 53.
Don't tell me I'm not gonna should
I don't
you tell it. Okay, say it again then.
53.
53. All right, we're 7 years apart. I mean, you were born like 73, something like that. So wait a minute. Well,
71.
71. You're born 1971. We come from an era that, it was said more like this back then. So I'll say it the way you've probably heard it. A man's word is his bond.
Yep.
A handshake, a look in the eye, being on time, being honest, a hard day's work, and that's been lost a lot in this weird world that we live in.
Yeah.
I think it's intentionally. My personal opinion. I think it's been intentionally done, and people like you and I have been belittled because of the way we are, because of that notion of being honest. So when
Yeah.
you say someone something honestly, like, it could be something simple as like, I love that man, and people don't agree with you or believe you, that's upsetting because your word is your bond. And when
Right.
you say something of this magnitude, that there is a bipedal hominid of sorts or whatever it is running around in the forests of North America, not only North America, we're talking Asia, Europe, we're talking
Right.
Australia, all the continents that, humans now inhabit. People, for some reason, still, even in 2025 today, want to look at you like you just fell off your head, and that's not constructive in any sense of the term. It's people could tell you about anything. They could tell you about like the time they went on a crazy party and took all these crazy illicit drugs, and next thing you know, they're waking up with grass blades in their face and they're on, Billy's yard, and you'll
Yeah.
believe them, right? Or they'll take some type of hallucinogen, and I had talked to a guy who, you know, lived a life for 8 years in a different state from Alabama to Texas, and didn't know his family existed anymore. Woke up in Alaska, and only 45 seconds have passed. That's wild. That's
Right.
hard to believe, but this person experienced that, and I just want you to know, like, here on this channel, you feel free to say whatever you want to say. Just you can't say certain words. This is YouTube,
Right.
but other than that, dude, Renee, we're gonna get into some. So okay, I kind of hinted at it. Is there any other experiences when it comes to cryptids you'd like to talk about, or would you like to maybe talk about some type of paranormal that you've experienced,
You
or
know,
something that would be
I
sure?
haven't experienced a lot of paranormal. Um, Tim has. We first moved in this apartment. We've been here a little over a year. And he kept telling me, he said, Renee, on your side of the bed, there's a woman. And I'm like, I don't know what you're smoking before bed, but there ain't no woman on my side of the bed.
Other than myself.
Right. And he's like, no, I have actually seen a black shadow reaching towards you. And I'm like, well, I don't feel, but like I told you, I mean, I'm too ignorant to be afraid of anything. So I'm up all night looking for this woman that I haven't seen yet. Not that I don't believe him, um, but with the lapse in time, like you were just saying, I'm sure everybody, if they're going to be honest with themselves, have you ever been driving down the road and you get somewhere and you're like, I don't even remember driving here?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
Or,
call it autopilot.
yeah, yeah. And it's like, now I have that all the time. Where I go, I don't know. But it's like, how did I get here and not kill somebody? But other than that, no, nothing. I mean, I do see
No.
a lot of orbs outside, that a
Tim
lot of
was
people don't see. But
Tim was saying that they sometimes slap the house, because you mentioned that you don't do gifting at the house. So that's you're kind of pre-shadowing something there. You didn't slip one past the goalie here, Renee. Um, why would you say that, Renee? Why would you say you wouldn't gift them at the house? Have you had experiences there?
I've had experience where I'm not gifting. I do not gift at home.
Of
But
course.
we live in town. We had one tiny patch of woods by our house. They've cut it down now. And I'm out there one night because we smoke outside. And I'm like, there is no way in that tiny patch of woods that there's a Bigfoot. So I turn my back toward the woods. We have a fence in front of us, an old wooden fence that's the neighbors in front of us. It's probably 3 seconds later, and I hear the fence being ripped apart. And there he stands just looking. And I know it was a male just looking at me. And I
Whoa.
said, well, I'm going to go in and put this cigarette out. It's time to go in. So I come upstairs. Tim was already in bed. And I said, you got to get up and get dressed and come down and see this. I said, you're not going to believe it. He said, I do believe you. He said, is there one out there? And I said, yeah. Well, then the next night, it's a little
Sorry.
closer. And the next night, it's a little closer. And I'm like, okay. And I finally said, you're close enough. It's time to go, back a little bit. You're getting in my personal space. Um, but many a nights, yes, we've been outside. We have pictures. They're out. He's out there. And like I said, we live in a pretty good sized town. Where'd it come from? I don't know.
Well, are you located towards the middle of the town or on the outskirts?
We're on the outskirts, but the nearest woods to us now, that was not even a probably acre woods, is probably half mile, and it'd have to cross open field all the way to our house. But it doesn't matter now where I
That's
go.
strange because, and this happened after the encounters at Saltfork, correct?
Yes.
Which would make sense being the first time. Okay, that's interesting. So, like I'm saying, you've been tagged.
Right.
You're it.
I'm
So,
it.
so whether you want it or not, Renee, you kind of are in the spear. You're probably on the point of the spearhead, or however that saying goes,
Right.
of this. And they want you to kind of communicate with them or talk to them or somehow get whatever they're trying to say to you, to everyone else. And I'm here for it, and the people in this community are here for it. So you just yeah, but getting too close and ripping down a neighbor's fence is a bit much. But at the same time, it's kind of accept you are the weird person, and it's okay. I've been the weird person my whole
Right.
life, and it's okay with me. I accept it. You should see my stand-up routines. Um, it's just the way it is, and it's kind of an acceptance of it. Now, if there's a patch, an acre of woods is nothing. I mean, I have a piece of property that's 10 acres. What's that for? It's not that big. Yeah, that's not that large at
Yeah.
all. And they're just kind of in there, like getting close to you guys and breaking your fence. That's not by accident.
I think the reason, though, that it broke the fence, it wasn't aggression. I turned my back on him, trying to put it out of my mind, like, Renee, we're in town. You're not seeing this. He was proving a point. Like, yeah, I'm here and I know you see me. Give me a little bit of attention. That's all he wanted. Once I spoke out loud, he didn't come that close anymore. He was out there every night. I was out there though, but I think more as a protector,
Really, that's what you
watching
think he
over
was doing?
me.
Watching over you?
Yeah, because if
From
Tim was out there with me, we didn't see him as often.
is this after the bite?
No,
Okay.
that just happened
Okay.
in November. So,
Oh, well, that
but
went
I
that
am
long ago.
getting ready to go to Arkansas in 2 days, Bigfooting. So we shall see how that goes.
Ooh. So I guess that's going to come up to like my next question. What's for Ohio Bigfoot Researchers? What are you guys trying to do? What is the mission? What is the
We're
purpose of
just
what you're
trying to
trying to
get the
do?
truth out there. I will never understand people that think we're the only beings that live in this whole universe. That makes no sense.
No,
People that believe that have no common sense. Why are
no.
we the only beings? Why? We just want the truth out there. And like I said, if you don't believe it and you don't want to listen, scroll on somewhere else because I could care less. Sorry, that's just my
That's
attitude. But
so you're going to Arkansas, and when's Tim going out again with you?
in April.
And you always okay. You guys, it's nice and cold up there right now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's below zero right now.
Yeah, the whole states. I'm here in Mexico. I think it was like 75 today. So, but I will be
We just
contacting
seen
you.
pictures of Panama, Florida, and it's snow on the ground. So
I have a
I'm
friend.
sure they're cold.
I have a friend from I think the Tallahassee area, and he was like, "It's so beautiful." You know, he's an interesting person, like a channeler of the dead. Asked me if I wanted to speak to the Bell Witch, and I wasn't ready for that. As you can imagine, I was like, "No, I'm good, man. I love you, brother, but that's still a little. It's above my pay grade." And yeah, so that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Renee. I appreciate it so
Thank you
much,
for having
and
me.
you did a great job. I know you're like, oh, I'm not good at talking, but the thing is, authenticity is the best thing in the world, and that's what you brought to the table today. Authenticity.
I'm just me, and I'm not trying to be nothing else. So
That's yeah. That's that. I figured as much. Is it? Could you maybe promote your Facebook page or your YouTube channel, or if you guys have
Yeah,
anything else you want to promote?
on both YouTube and Facebook, it's just Ohio Bigfoot Researchers. We're just looking for people that wanna know the truth. I'm willing to go anywhere and go Bigfooting with anybody. A lot of people say I'm too trusting, but I don't know if
How
you're a
far are you away
weirdo
from
right
the
off the
LBL?
bat.
How
I
far are
don't
you away
wanna
from
go
the
to the
LBL?
LBL. We're only like 6 hours. I have no, I do not want That's the
All you got to
home
do
of the
is suit
Dogman.
up.
No, thank you.
You got to suit up to go out there. Right? That's my buddies up there. I got a lot of friends in that area that I've met over the last year and a half that I've been podcasting. Like Martin Groves and all these
Yeah,
people who are rather into MK Davis. These people who go oof, and they're just like
I love MK Davis, but,
he is the
yeah,
best, isn't he?
let him have at it. Renee don't want nothing to do with that.
I'm going to have him on. I think the end of the 29th. I think the end of this month we're going to come on and do the Zapruder film. He's going to break down. You know how he broke down the Patty Gimlin film. He did that with me with
Yes.
the braid on its hair, which is, if you guys haven't seen that, please go back and check out MK Davis. It's called a closer look with MK Davis. Incredible. And we're going to do now the Zapruder film because that's his thing. He loves to take the video and like enhance it. No AI, look into it, and he's amazing. So you have Saltfork, which is now I know is another hotspot because that's one I was unaware of until Tim told me.
Mhm.
So any places you're planning on going? Maybe Point Pleasant. That's not too far away. Maybe go look for the Mothman.
I would love to do that. My thing is finding people that wanna go do it. A lot of people are afraid. You're only gonna live once and you can only die once, so let's go, live life.
It's probably one
I'm
of the most
excited about
exciting.
going to Arkansas,
All right.
can't wait. I'm gonna spend 8 days, 7 nights there. Um,
Because do you ever heard of Terrence McKenna? You ever heard of him? He's like a
no.
psychonaut, like a person who's really big into psychedelics and the mushroom and talking to the entities on the other side. And he was saying when you take a thing called dimethyltryptamine, DMT, he said it's the most exciting thing this side of the yawning grave that you could do, and that the universe respects courage. So what you're saying lines up with that, and it makes me feel pretty hopeful about, like, to meet somebody like you makes me feel hopeful about a lot of things. Not just what you do. That's not important. It's about who you are as a person, and that's what I'm digging right now. And once again, thank you so much. I'm sure I'll be talking to Tim again because Tim's got stories for
Oh, yeah.
days.
Tim is
And
the best storyteller too. I just love to listen to him.
we had a
Um,
great show. We had a great show. The first one like
yes.
blew up. It blew up. I've
I
never
know,
seen
over
anything like it.
3,000 views. I was like, "What the world?"
It was my biggest one
Amazing.
to date. My biggest one to date. I've only been doing this for a year, and I don't know what it was. I don't know. Maybe I just held my head in the right position that day, but the algorithm grabbed it and pulled it on through. I actually released an
Yeah.
episode today with Pancho Zornch, where he also had a weird Dogman encounter where like it was like transitioning between, and it like went behind a tree
Mhm.
on a path when he was riding a bike, and it just disappeared. And it's kind of the same thing you were saying when she was holding the baby, and you were like, okay, we're good, and it disappeared.
They're gone.
So that kind of leads credence to, like, it's kind of both. To me, it's kind of a
Right.
flesh and blood, and it's also something else.
I always tell people when they say, "How do you think they disappear that quick?" To me, if you've ever seen the movie Terminator,
Which one?
the Predator, you know how
Oh,
the
Predator.
Predator would change?
Predator. Yeah.
That's exactly, I think, what they do.
They can just like
They're
whatever,
not
like
gone nowhere. They
cloak.
just make their self where you can't see them.
Yeah. And they choose for you to see them or not. Once
That's
again,
right.
what I was
And I've
telling
been
you, you've been
chosen,
tagged.
so
Yeah. So to enjoy the gift. God is good.
yes,
Okay. If we go to the religious aspect, God has given you the gift to see another one of his creatures, right? So
right.
enjoy that. Enjoy that.
I'm going to. I'm going
And
to.
I enjoyed you so very much today. Thank you for coming on, Renee.
Let's talk again soon.
Absolutely.
All
All right.
right, bub.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was the wonderful Rene Gayheart from the Ohio Bigfoot Researchers. Pretty interesting encounter. She got basically bitten by possibly a dogman. Possibly. I mean, if anything, I mean, I let me grab my tape measure back there. If it's she's 5'3", girl's 5'1", that's here, waist, the head. That is a huge dog, or like a dire wolf or something like that. That's wild, man. I don't know. She has a scar. I don't know. I might have to ask her to maybe I can ask her to send me a picture of the scar, depending on where it is, of course. It can't be. It's not that kind of show. Once again, yeah, that was cool, man. Because she's the kind of person that is like no nonsense. You know what I mean? Like for the non-believers out there, like if she says, "Okay, go with me and go see it," would you not do that? I most certainly would if I was there. That's what I would do for sure. I gotta make a little more money so I can get up out here and actually meet some of these people and go do some stuff. Harley Owens and all the wonderful people I've met on the podcast. Speaking of the show, guys, if you like, subscribe to the show, leave a comment, go over on Spotify, leave a comment, leave a what do they call that, a review, download it. Even if you don't listen to it, do me a favor and download it. It helps me out. I really appreciate that, guys. If you keep finding yourself coming back, I'm very happy about that. And yeah, this was an interesting one. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much, Rene, for coming on. And remember, guys, we are the eye and we are aware. Love you all.